guys, and welcome to my new video, and today we're looking at our Mistweaver boys. Mistweaver time, guys. We pulled all of these. Bear time, bear time, bear time, bear. We're running Necrolords, and Necrolords have been changed, they've been buffed recently. We're gonna stun here. We can stun all of them. They have been buffed recently, and all the sudden Necrolord is one of the ways to go. And I'm going to use Essence Font. I'm gonna use Necrolords right now. I'm gonna use Enveloping Mist. That's going to splash to all the people. I'm gonna keep casting Vivify on the tank because the tank is going to get wrecked. And the reason I'm running Necrolords is a 1 minute cooldown. It also pairs up really well with something like Emni and the Lead by Example, which I haven't selected because it takes a while to unlock. But how many times have I advised people to run Lead by Example from Emni? Let's hope it's not gonna get nerfed because it's the obvious choice in Necrolord Soulbind the trio. In terms of the Bonedust Brew, the way they reads, you hurl a brew coated from the bones of your enemies into the ground, coating all targets struck for 10 seconds. Your abilities have a 50% chance to affect the target a second time and 35% effectiveness as shadow damage or healing. The important part here, Gust of Mist heals targets with your Bonedust Brew active for an additional percentage. And it's very important, so basically I'm using Bonedust Brew and then you'll see my grid turning green. Any ability that I use that's gonna proc my master, Gust of Mist, is going to proc an additional Gust of Mist as shadow healing on the member that I used my heal on. It's also important to note that using Essence Font won't proc additional Bonedust Brew Gust of Mist. So generally speaking, the name of the game, I guess, with Bonedust Brew is to activate your mastery, Gust of Mist, as many times as you can. And it's something that we're going to be trying and doing because we're running tiers or Tier of Morning Legendary, which casting Vivify on Enveloping Mist on attack with Renewing Mist has a chance to apply another Renewing Mist or spread Renewing Mist. Okay, we need to do some healing here instead of explaining. Let's go, guys. Essence Fawn. We're gonna do some damage. We're running Rising Mist. We're doing Fistweaving, so generally speaking, we're trying to deal as much damage as we can, which can be a big issue. Which can be a very big issue with Mistweavers because generally speaking, we're gonna use Touch of Death. We probably shouldn't have. Mistweaver damage is not the best in this world. That's probably one of the issues that Mistweavers have, or probably one of the biggest issues that Mistweavers have in Mythic Plus dungeons. Even with Fistweaving, it can be somewhat lackluster. So right now we're gonna use Chi-Yi. And remember, we're gonna activate Chi-Yi. So I'm gonna run Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick. Now we can use Instant Cast Enveloping Mist. Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick. I can run Instant Cast Enveloping Mist. Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Instant Cast Enveloping Mist. You can see the buff here. Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick, Instant Cast Enveloping Mist as well. So it's something that I've been experimenting in terms of what is going to be a good way of optimizing Chi-Yi. Now Chi-Yi has changed a lot. All of a sudden Red Crane is a whole different story. And because this is going to be a big pull, we're probably going to have to concentrate here. So again, my weak order for Chi-Yi is broken. We're going to use Bonedust Brew. We only hit 2 people, which is really bad. We're gonna try and focus on this Druid here with Enveloping Mist. Then we're gonna go Vivifies. Again, hardcasting Vivifies when multiple people need HP is a good way of doing it instead of going into Soothing Mist Vivify, depending on how much the target needs, or if the target needs continuous healing. And we're going back to DPS. Now, a lot of the members here are just basically outraging it, which is the tactic for really high keys, where this guy is gonna do some substantial amount of damage. So you can see they're not even getting hit. So in terms of the Chi-Yi or talents that I'm running, I do feel that Red Crane is going to be something that you're going to go with in Mythic Plus situations. In raids, you might go with Refreshing Jadewind, really depends. Because if you don't go with Invoker Chi-Yi, you're going to get Yulon back. Yulon is another 3-minute ability. And Refreshing Jadewind on stacked raid situations could be pretty juicy. Now in terms of the last talents, in terms of Upwelling or Rising Mist, in Mythic Plus, I'm definitely going to go Fistweaving build. Okay, we pulled all of these. This is probably going to be a wipe, if I'm being completely honest. So I have Bonedust Brew. I don't have Revival. Okay, I want to keep the Druid up to full. Essence Font, we're gonna put Bonedust Brew here. We're gonna go Enveloping Mist. You have to remember, I'm running Tears of Morning, so every time I do Enveloping Mist, it's going to splash heal to people that have Renewing Mist. I tried using the new ability as well, Expel Harm. We're gonna use Touch of Death and it should be dead. So this is gonna be a big pull. We're gonna put Renewing Mist on everybody. We're gonna use Bonedust Brew. Oops. We're gonna use Revival. We're gonna use Enveloping Mist here, so it's gonna splash on everyone who has Renewing Mist. I'm still not 100% sure what the best playstyle is going to be for Bonedust Brew in terms of activating it. That if you're running Tears of Mourning, your Enveloping Mist is going to splash heal and also proc mastery. So now you're getting a huge amount of mastery gains, and that mastery is going to interact with Bonedust Brew. We're basically experimenting here with covenants. A lot of people have been talking about Kyrian Covenant. We're gonna use Ring of Peace to make sure that the bears don't get to the tank, because these bears really hurt. We're gonna do AoE stun as well. There's a lot of utility that Mistweavers do have. But in terms of covenants, a lot of people have been talking about Kyrian as well. Kyrian is also another strong option. He has been changed, or at least I wish I was running Emily, but I am running certain soul binds like Jane Bond that reduces Gust of Mist, reduces the cooldown of Invoker Chi Red Crane, and Chi Gust of Mist healing is increased by a certain amount. Plus on top of the fact I'm running Bone Marrow Hops, which is another conduit that interacts with, or is a potency conduit for Necrolord Bonedust Brew ability, but the cooldown reduction has been recently capped because it was being kind of exploited. So all of a sudden, this is type of build that I probably could be used in Mythic Plus or Raids. A lot of people have been talking about Kyrian, like I mentioned. Now Kyrian is something that, think about this, Kyrian is going to give you mastery. It's going to give you additional mastery. It's going to make your Essence Font a better cooldown, better AoE cooldown. When you combine that with Chi Yi in like Mythic Plus scenarios, so think about this. You combine Weapons of Order, which is a 2-minute cooldown, and you use Chi Yi, and now you have these two overlapping cooldowns that give you mastery, because again, Chi Yi heals with mastery every time you use Blackout Kick or Rising Sun Kick. This cooldown could be, or that combination of cooldowns could be very big on really high keys for Prideful healing. But you're gonna have to use those cooldowns together, and you're gonna have to save them for something like a really high Prideful. So generally speaking, maybe that kind of Covenant combo would be used in like really high pushers. But at this point, I do feel that Necrolord have an advantage in terms of the versatility that it provides of being a 1 minute. 1 minute cooldown is very short, and when combined with Lead by Example, which again can also provide intellect bonus to your friends and your allies. So I don't really have a whole lot of things happening here. I'm gonna use my Crackling Jade Lightning, which is the real damage. We're gonna try and do DPS. We don't really need to do a whole lot of things. We're just gonna rely on our Rising Mist hot extensions. Again, don't stand in front of the boss. Do we have Touch of Death? We don't have Touch of Death, which is unfortunate. At least in 30 seconds. And this boss is going to die. In terms of other legendaries that I have looked at, and I have to mention that Tears of Mourning is probably going to be my #1 legendary I'm going to craft at the very start, but you look at Yulon's Whispers, that used to be the best legendary, but it got a well-deserved nerf because it was just far too strong for all content, and it was really boring. Thunder Focus Teachers gave this AoE healing. In terms of Ancient Teachings of the Monastery, this is the Fistweaving legend that I used. I made a video about this, and I really liked it. I really liked it, and I feel like it could be a very good option that forces you or makes you go into melee. And I think it feels really good, but it might not be something that's going to be suited for every situation as well. Tears of Mourning, or Tear of Mourning, is something that's gonna work in Raids and Mythic Plus, and it's gonna provide you with a lot of HPS. I do feel that in Raids and Mythic Plus, there's possibly going to be different playstyles. Like I mentioned, Upwelling build is something that I feel is still going to be alive. Upwelling is relatively easy to make use of in raid situations, and the difference between Upwelling and Rising Mist might not be that big. Maybe if you're trying to provide extra DPS. Maybe if you're trying to... Okay, I had to use Revival. Maybe if you're trying to provide extra DPS, you'll go with Fistweaving for raids and Mythic Plus. But I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of loss in terms of HPS if you do decide to go with Upwelling build. We're going to apply our Enveloping Mist. The fact that Enveloping Mist feels a lot stronger with the Legendary feels really good. So right now, Red Crane, Tiger Eye Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick into instant cast Enveloping Mist, Tiger Palm, double Tiger Palm into Blackout Kick into instant cast Enveloping Mist, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick into instant cast Enveloping Mist. Again, Blackout, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick into instant cast Enveloping Mist. And you can see what I'm trying to do here. And this is something that I'm experimenting with. I need to get 3 events in order to get instant cast Enveloping Mist. In order to get instant cast Enveloping Mist, I need to get either Blackout Kicks or Rising Sun Kicks. Now you have to keep in mind with Teachings of the Monastery, your Blackout Kick can strike multiple times. So now I'm trying to optimize how I'm going to increase the amount of Enveloping Mist I'm going to get. Now this is something that I've been experimenting, and this is not something that might be the exact best way of doing it. But in terms of the haste that I have, it seems to be working pretty well. You have to remember that haste is going to affect how often you get those cooldowns. So it can change to some extent. And if you're going to get early Rising Sun Kicks, it can also change your playstyle a little bit. And those are the playstyles that I really enjoy. I do have to say that Fistweaving is probably my favorite playstyle right now. I do enjoy the Fistweaving legendary that is still very much viable, and it could be used in again, in a lot of different situations. If I were to go with a build when Shadowlands released and if nothing has changed, I probably would go with Necrolord. I feel like it gives me the best of both worlds in raids and Mythic Plus. If I was pushing really high keys and I was really scared about prideful healing and I wanted to combine Weapons of Order with my Chi, I would probably maybe experiment with Kyrian. In terms of legendaries, I definitely feel Tears of Morning right now is probably an easy choice in terms of legendary you just want to get straight away, to some extent. But I would probably tend to do more Mythic Plus with my Mistweaver, and because I would tend to do more Mythic Plus, I would like to experiment with the Fistweaving legendaries. Again, the fact that with Tears of Morning, for example, right now I have triple people with Renewing Mist. If I use my Enveloping Mist on the tank here, there's going to be splash healing to Renewing Mist targets, including the Mastery Gust of Mist proc. And this kind of interaction, combined with the fact that Bonedust Brew has really nice synergy with abilities that proc Mastery or abilities that have multiple ways of proccing Mastery, I feel like it has a very nice synergy in terms of optimizing your, your Covenant abilities, in terms of optimizing your healing. Again, if someone doesn't need your Enveloping Mist, you might not be casting it, so it really depends if that target needs it, and you might want to combine it with Soothing Mist, depending on how much single target healing you need. The disadvantage of Bonedust Brew, it's rather short range, especially in Mythic Plus. It might be hard to get everyone in there. In raids, you probably can have a better or an easier time of getting more people inside it. So there's going to be AoE here. I probably will. Let's try Bonedust Brew first. We'll see if we can get a lot of. Okay, I should just go with Vivifies. And in this is going to be a perfect example where I'm just going to try hard cast Vivifies on members. So we're gonna try and put Bonedust Brew, and we're just gonna hard cast Vivifies on targets. We're gonna try and put Renewing Mist as well. There's no need for me to Soothing Mist and Vivify because there's multiple people of taking damage. And this is a prime example where you don't use Soothing Mist. And it sometimes can be a bit of a trap depending on who needs healing. Again, we're gonna use Chi here. Instant Enveloping Mist. Double Tiger Palm. Instant Enveloping Mist. Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick. Blackout Kick, Instant Enveloping Mist. Touch of Death. Double Tiger Palm into Blackout Kick, Instant Enveloping Mist, and it was doing a decent amount of healing. So the overall feel of Mistweaver and Mythic Plus, you can see that from the video here, that their single target healing is strong, their AoE healing is strong. You can look at the Bonedust Brew, the fact that it's 1 minute cooldown, it aligns really nicely with Castle Natria. Damage balance as well, it can be worked in Mythic Plus as well for extra splash healing or more additional healing if you're really falling behind. If you really want a super cooldown or a combination of things like Kyrian, Weapon of Order, added with things like Chi, Red Crane, you can probably deal with really high level Prideful, and that's something to consider. You also, again, I mentioned throughout the video I was running Tears of Morning, and I feel that's going to be probably the go-to legendary for a lot of monks unless things are going to change. One of the biggest disadvantages of a Mistweaver Monk is probably their DPS. I think overall, providing good damage as a Mistweaver Monk can feel really hard. There are things like, you know, your Fistweaving legendary, which kind of forces you to go into melee. But generally speaking, especially certain affixes are going to be painful for Mistweaver's melee DPS. And I feel that overall, Mistweaver DPS is very on the low side. But you also have to counter in the fact that Monk in general provides a 5% physical buff. So that's something to offset their low overall damage value. And you can use certain trinkets. Again, I haven't looked at the really popular DPS trinkets. I do hope, and honestly this is something that I hope that Blizzard is going to change or buff Feline Stomp from Nightwave, because that was my favorite Covenant ability in Mythic Plus. And I felt Feline Stomp was really nice to use in terms of the damage that it provided. Right now it's not really tuned properly, and your Necrolord and Kyrian might be a better choice. But Feline Stomp was my favorite one. This is my current setup. Anything can change, guys. I really want to hear how you feel about Mistweaver and if you're going to play Mistweaver when Shadowlands is going to launch.